Our second speaker of the evening is also familiar to you all. Governor George W. Bush of Texas. Governor Bush's campaign points out that he, too, came from a small town, Midland, Texas. Oh, come on, will you? There's nobody here from Midland, Texas. Give me a break. The campaign film made the town seem so small that an all-night drugstore closed at noon. In the interest of fairness, I will also waive Governor Bush's biography. If you need to know more about Governor Bush, the Vice President has promised me he'd hang around later and answer some questions. Isn't that right?
Absolutely.
It is my second great honor of the evening to introduce the distinguished governor of the great state of Texas, George W. Bush.
Thank you, Big Al. Thank you all. Your Excellency, Mr. Vice President, Mrs. Clinton, Governor Pataki and Mayor Giuliani, Congressman Lazio, Al Smith, all the Smiths who are here, a lot of you here, distinguished dais, or better known as the top 1%. Except for you, Russert. Thank you all very much. This is an impressive crowd, the haves and the have-mores. Some people call you the elite. I call you my base. I'm delighted to be here with my wife. She's a fabulous person. She's always full of good advice. Just like tonight. Get on the elevator here at the Waldorf Astoria. It's the first time I've ever worn tails. She says, "This is a big deal, George." She said, "A lot of important people are going to be there tonight, so whatever you do, don't try to be charming, witty, or debonair. Just be yourself." Or how about the guy on the elevator? The guy on the elevator, we're coming down. He said, "Say." I said, "Yes, sir." He said, "Anybody ever tell you look like George W. Bush?" I said, "Yeah, it happens quite a bit." He said, "Sure must make you mad." Or about the woman I just ran into coming off the elevator. She said, "I'd like to give you some advice on what to wear." I said, "Well, I appreciate that." She said, "White tie's fine, but you need some more earth tones." Perfectly nice woman. I think her name is Naomi or something like that. The odd thing was she handed me a bill for $15,000. Can you imagine? Sure, grown man paying $15,000 for somebody to tell you what to wear. Heck, $15,000 these days gets you a sleepover in the Lincoln bedroom. This evening does have a special meaning. The story of Al Smith's historic run for the presidency is truly inspiring. gives me hope that in America, it's still not possible for a fella named Al to be the commander-in-chief. I'm pleased to be here with the Vice President this evening. He's been promising to work harder on getting some of the details right, and I hope he follows through. The other night after our third debate, just as I was leaving, he said, "I look forward to seeing you for the dinner in New York. I'll meet you at the Carlisle and dress as casual." There's really no place like New York, especially for baseball fans like me and Mrs. Clinton. It's a town with so many outstanding major leaguers: Derek Jeter and Mike Piazza, Adam Clymer. Big time. I actually have a lot of respect for the New York media. Believe it or not, even the New York Times. I like a newspaper that's predictable. When I was a couple of points down, they said my campaign was in crisis. When I was a little bit up, it said it was neck and neck, and as I gained more points, the race became volatile. If I win, I can imagine the headline: Gore sweeps New York City, setbacks elsewhere. And I see Bill Buckley's here tonight, fellow Yale man. We go way back, and we have a lot in common. Bill wrote a book at Yale. I read one. He founded the Conservative Party. I started a few parties myself. Bill was certain he won every debate he ever had. And, well, I know how he feels. Of course, that's a matter of opinion. I know the Vice President disagrees, and here's my response. Mr. Vice President, I really wish you would stop sighing about my record. Foreign policy has been a big issue in this campaign, and we just had some really good news out of Yugoslavia. I'm especially pleased that Mr. Milosevic has stepped down. It's one less polysyllabic name for me to remember. You know what this world really needs? It really needs more world leaders named Al Smith. There's a lot of history, not only in this city, but right here in this hotel. For years, this was the home of Al Smith's opponent, Herbert Hoover. When you think of the Hoover years, you think of depression, food lines, despairing people jumping out of windows, or as the Vice President might call it, a day in the life of Texas. For the most part, this has been an election about issues, and I think Americans are grateful for it. We've talked a lot about our economic plans, and my opponent keeps saying I give too much tax relief to the top 1%, but he hadn't heard my latest proposal. The bottom 99% will do well when they get to split Dick Cheney's stock options. You know, when I was looking for a running mate, I got a lot of advice that I should choose the most powerful person in New York. Somebody who could take the fight to our opponents. Somebody tough, smart, fearless, and unrelenting. Unfortunately, Xenia Muka said she is unlikely to survive the vetting process. But I'm proud of Dick Cheney. I know the Vice President is proud of his running mate. You have to admire Joe Lieberman, and we did a little looking into his background and found out he's such an upstanding fellow. He's really generous. He's so good-hearted that one time he actually gave money to a Buddhist temple. And a lot of you know that my brother Jeb is a Catholic convert. Jeb wanted to be here badly tonight, but I told him he's got a little work to do in Florida. A year ago, he assured me we would win Florida easily. Of course, he also is the same guy that told me once Dad wouldn't mind if I parked his car in the front yard. My opponent and I have had some strong differences. But let me tell you a few things I've learned in this campaign. He's a man who clearly respects and loves his wife and family. Like me, he married up. I've also learned he's a person of energy and skill and determination. This year, Mr. Vice President, I can't wish you success, but I do wish you well. Before I close, there's another man I'd like to talk about, someone who is not here, John Cardinal O'Connor. I will never forget his funeral. Inside that beautiful cathedral were two presidents and other leaders of our country. Outside were average New Yorkers who stood 10 deep along Fifth Avenue. Cardinal was one of the most impressive men I've ever met. He was a moral leader, and not just for Catholics. And early this year, when I had some things to clarify, I knew exactly who to contact. Everyone who met him saw strength and energy, wit and intellect. He was a man who held a great position and added to its authority. He took a high office and lifted it. For anyone who aspires to leadership, he is a model. The story is told that when Pope John Paul II went looking for a successor to the great Cardinal Cook, he said, "I want a man like me in New York." Quote may or may not be true, but it turned out that way. Cardinal O'Connor was known for both his conviction and his kindness. He took people on their own terms. There were no barriers to his friendship. What a blessing to be his friend. Mayor Ed Koch, who's here tonight, called him one of the few truly heroic figures in our lives. That is how many of us saw him. And in this political season, his kind of heroism is worth remembering. Cardinal O'Connor defied all the labels and showed us that the truth is sometimes larger than the left or the right. He was a naval officer who spoke for peace. He defended the doctrines of his church and reached out to other faiths. He knew the wealthy and the powerful and taught that poverty in a wealthy nation is a scandal. He spoke for the rights of workers, the rights of immigrants, and the rights of the unborn. The Cardinal had a way of putting politicians on the spot, exactly where we belong. He was never a man to mince words. He followed truth where it led and spoke for the dictates of morality. He understood that morality is what gives authority to power and purpose to freedom and dignity and direction to all our lives. He had a motto: there is no love without justice, and he lived it every day. And he proved that justice without love is incomplete. He provided that in AIDS wards and homes for unwed mothers and in countless acts of caring and comfort. Where the world wanted compromise, there was steel. Where the world expected harsh judgment, there was simple love. His Holiness clearly knows how to pick good men, and he's found another in Archbishop Edward Michael Egan. New York has welcomed you warmly, and it's been a pleasure to be with you all tonight. Your Excellency, Laura and I would like you to come and visit our family next year. I'll send you the address as soon as I know what it is. Thank you very much. God bless.